Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and I've got a Chinese proverb pulled up. This is the Chinese proverb that translates to everything returns to its original, which is Lo Yi Gui Gen, which literally means a falling leaf returns to its roots. The proverb signifies that no matter where you go or what changes occur in life, you will eventually return to your origins or where you belong. So everything going back to its right place, going back to the original. And this is for all of humanity because everything is in a defiled, backward state currently. But once Yahushua returns, it's going to go into its right place, into how it's supposed to be. The different nations to where they're supposed to be in their particular order, and with Israel, Yahushua and Israel being on top. And they will be following the law, statutes, and commandments through Yahushua and the Israelites. But everything's in a fallen state, not as far as the Israelites go. We're not remembering who we are and where we came from, but returning to the laws and statutes, which they weren't given, but they're going to be under them. And in the past, their ways operated similar to how things are supposed to be. And I'm going into this because of this new law that China just adopted as of February 1st. And it says China has a new divorce law effective the 1st of February 2025. Previously, all properties owned by either spouse would be equally divided during divorce. Now the rule is a lot simpler. Whoever paid for it owns it after divorce, even if the wife's name was added to the title after marriage. And houses gifted to the husband by his parents will remain his property even after divorce and will not be considered shared matrimonial property. And the Chinese women aren't happy. Oh no, sometimes I think China is a lot more base than most Western countries. They know how to reverse the trend of falling marital and thus birth rates. If you make divorce less punitive on men, they'll marry more and have more children, period. And that's true. These laws, through feminism, through the wine of the harlot, America, have been pushed onto the world, and they're all to the detriment of all of these countries. And so the nations have drank of the wine, but now the nations are angry. They're mad with these philosophies that have been put onto them because it doesn't benefit them. Their birth rates are falling, which China's also done the one-child policy, which ruined a lot of things. But their birth rates are in the crapper, just like America's are in Western society. And it's because they've taken on to feminism, which is really just a divide and conquer strategy and a strategy for population reduction. It's all operating negatively on these different nations now, and they're rejecting it. And this, going back to something like this where you take what you came in with and go your way, that's a lot closer to what the scriptures say, which really the scripts say that she goes away with nothing. But like that proverb, gotta go to the ways of old, to the law, statutes, and commandments. And things are all going to return to the law, statutes, and commandments, full circle. This is Jeremiah 6:16. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, stand ye in the ways, and see and ask for the old paths. Where's the good way? and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. And everything is completely out of order and causes a lot more drama than really should be. And going back to the ways of old is the actual correct path. It's the ways the Lord set up, in which people have tried to stray from it, but everyone's going to eventually go back under the law, statutes, and commandments. It says, but they said, we will not walk therein. In China, adopting these Western ideas of marriage is them not walking therein. And the Israelites are not walking therein, so the rest of the world is not going to be walking in those paths. But them trying to give liberty to women, it causes nothing but negative results. You have lower birth rates, you have lower family formation, you have families getting broken up as well because women are flighty and they leave. And so a lot of these laws, the law, statutes, commandments were set up understanding that women are flighty, and so they didn't get the liberty to just leave and take half of everything, because that's incentive to leave. Also, you got to punish adultery as well, in which that you don't see adultery being punished anymore, especially here in the West. They get rewarded for their adultery when they shouldn't at all. They should be being put to death for it. But all these things, giving all this liberty to women, it's just turn these lands to whoredom. And that's what you should expect from that, because that's what they do. That's what's going to happen when you're not punishing adultery, when you're letting women gad abroad freely, and you're putting them above the man, because a lot of these benefits that they're getting through marriage are placing them above the man when the Lord didn't set it up that way. Let's go to Exodus 21 and verse 10 and 11. It says, if you take another wife, which that's not in the world as well, which this does a lot to keep women in their place, men having multiple wives. And that's going to come back as well, because we're going back to the ways of old. It says, if you take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. So you can't just get another wife and put away your old one. You still have to take care of the older wife. You have to supply her with food, protection, and you have to supply her with the duty of marriage, which is sex. Shall he not diminish? Can't go away just because you took another wife. And it says, and if you do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. And that's the way it's supposed to be. If she has to leave, she leaves with nothing. And I went to this one because it shows also that men are allowed to have multiple women, multiple wives. Women aren't. They're supposed to have one husband and stick to that husband all their lives, but their imperative has been pushed onto the world and letting them just leave marriages. That just destroys families, giving them this liberty. It's not supposed to be there, and the world is going to turn back to the way it's supposed to be. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai designed the woman so they know how they are, and they set up laws to keep them from trying to exert themselves over men, and to keep families intact and together. This is how they're worried about birth rates, but if they went to this completely, to where men have multiple women, the birth rates would not be tanked as they are currently. And if they didn't give women such an advantage in marriage, the birth rates, there would be more family formation. It was set up this way for a reason, and people try to go around it, which this is also this time that we're in, the time of the Gentiles. It's also a time for women. They're compassing men about, but you even think of a compass, it still has to go back to where it started. If you're going completely around, you still go back to where it started. And they're going to go back into subjection under men. This is all from the curse with Eve. So Genesis 3:16, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Let's get a translation. We're going to go to the NLT. And it says, then he said to the woman, and this is after she took of the fruit, the forbidden fruit that she got, which are philosophies, which most likely went back to some form of feminism, with them trying to have supremacy over men. This is the curse that women received. This is why it hurts them to have children. You don't see other animals in pain during labor. It's just women, human women. But in the kingdom, that'll go away for Israelite women, at least. And this desire to be over and manipulate their husband will be gone as well. But in the NLT it says, then he said to the woman, I will sharpen the pain of your pregnancy, and in pain you will give birth. So that's a curse, the pain in labor. And you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. So they desire to have all this control over men when they shouldn't. They don't have full understanding, as shown in Job. So they should not be leading and trying to control men. This is all a curse, and it's a curse to all of humanity, because even the men of the other nations are dealing with all of this female supremacy, this feminism that's been pushed around the world. But it's being exposed, just like Esau is being exposed. Female traits are being exposed and completely psychoanalyzed currently. Men are seeing that, they're really actually even seeing that women are actually evil. They're seeing that, and seeing that they have to guard themselves because society won't against women. And women have gotten up very high, but they're going to return to subjection under their men. It says, and you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. They are really desiring that, to rule over men. They believe that, or a lot of them believe that if they were in control, that the world would be better. But the world would just be freaking ghetto. It'd be what it is now. We're seeing it for if women had complete control, which they're still under men. And even that law in China shows that the men will still rule over you. But it leads to whoredom, having women out like they do. It leads to a decline, because men become detached from society and don't try to keep it together anymore because of the women having so much control and being completely, or not being able to just stay in their role, not being able to stay in a family. They're the ones that break up families. You look at the divorce rates here in the West, and it's 70% initiated by the woman, and it goes higher as she gets more educated, or so-called educated. They're flighty, and laws are supposed to be set up to keep them in the family. They shouldn't even be choosing their own husbands. That should be their father's job. But they've got all this liberty, and it's going to eventually go back to the way it was. Back to this proverb. It says, everything returns to its original, which literally means a falling leaf returns to its roots. So everything is going to return to its right place, to its right order, when Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai returns. But I thought that law in China, the divorce law in China, was very interesting, that it's getting a lot closer to the law, statutes, and commandments than going off and being like the West. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, or Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.